Good afternoon. Welcome to Talking Pop Culture with Jake D. This is Howling About Entertainment on October 11th, 2020. And joining me, as usual, is Draco Argentis. Draco, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir? How am I coming in?
Much better than you were earlier today on Gary's stream. Still a little static, though.
Yeah, that's going to be something I can't fix completely, but at least it's better than it was.
Oh, yeah. Oh, million. Oh, that's much better now. Whatever it was is pretty much cleared up. Excellent. Well, let's see who is with us right now. Let's see. Mary G is here. Lord Thoth with his wrench. Hail to both of you. Just another red shirt. How are you? How are you? I'll tell you what, it has been a bit of an interesting week for me, man. How things treated you, Draco?
Fairly interesting. So you already know that one of the things that weighed heavily on my mind, I was particularly soured on this last week.
Yeah, that did not sound like a lot of fun, brother.
That and amongst the fun with the boys, which I guess we will get into, and plenty of other information, the New York City ComicCon and the failure of Kurtzman Trek to do anything positive there, amongst anything positive going on in pop culture in the last week. But hopefully we're all alive and mostly happy.
Ish. I'll tell you what, man. You know, since you brought it up, I didn't have it on the agenda, but New York City ComicCon is worth spending a few minutes on, man. It was so there was, for anybody who didn't catch it, the Star Trek panel that Draco brought up. There was some interesting monkeying around going on with that live stream, wasn't there?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit that we know of, because how much was going on that we actually didn't see.
Yeah,
from in front of the curtain. Don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain. Nothing going on here.
So the Star Trek Comic-Con panel had they just like I do, they ahead of time they announced the stream so that you could get an idea of when it was, and hopefully I assume it was to an attempt to try and get more folks to watch. That's one of the reasons why I schedule out ahead of time, is to get the notice out there so more people can hopefully plan around joining in. And well, glad you made it, Red Shirt. We always love to have you. And by God, if you got to watch it on the replay, watch it on the replay, my friend. I appreciate you being here. Cara Dune statue, take my... I've been looking for that. Lord Thoth, if you've got a link for that, drop it in the chat, because I'm interested in taking a look at it myself. But
now, this is a statuette and not a figure.
Yes, correct. Okay. Or at least it's certainly what it looked like and how they described it, from what I understand.
Okay.
So, but
what everybody wants from Star Wars now: Baby Yoda and Cara Dune.
That's right, pretty much. So, I'm gonna bring in the screen. So this is the Star Trek Universe official panel from Comic-Con. And when this thing launched, when they set up the stream, it got ratioed pretty quick. Anybody who's not familiar with ratioing, that relates to likes and dislikes on a YouTube video. They're on streams, they're on videos, they're on anything on this platform. One of the nice things about YouTube is, unlike, say CBS All Ass or Amazon Prime or any of those other streaming platforms, you can see what the interactivity and the viewings look like in real time, or at least so we thought. You want to take the folks through kind of the brief highlight of what we learned from this this week, Draco?
Well, at least from my understanding and from my awareness, there was, as the panel proceeded, and I do not have the exact details, but as the panel proceeded, we found out that several people had noticed that approximately 200 dislikes had just disappeared.
Yeah, interestingly.
The only thing that we know as users is that you can remove your own dislike and you can place it back on the system, but the likelihood that 200 individuals would have disliked this thing and then removed it, it's iffy. And plenty of people were making a comment about that, of how that you would see it in the comments section. What happened to the dislikes? How did that happen? Somehow I was watching this earlier and it had 200 and something, 266 dislikes. Now it's got 78. What the hell happened, or something like that?
It's a fair question. Something interesting here. I disliked this stream myself. Do you notice something about this particular YouTube video?
It's not blue. It's gray.
That's right. Blue. So I'm gonna take pleasure in being the 500th downvote on the Star Trek panel here. So I previously disliked this stream, mainly to express my dislike with the topics that they had aligned and what they were talking about, the specific panelists that they had lined up for this. And of course, this wasn't actually a live stream. This was more like a video premiere because everything was pre-recorded and there was no live chat. But I will give them to their credit. They left the likes and dislikes turned on, even though, as we can see from the fact that I just had to re-click my downvote on this, they've been cleared. I can tell you for a fact, I downvoted it previously. And when we pulled this up just now, my downvote was magically missing.
And you're not alone in that, because that was another selection of comments that was attached to the video.
Mm-hmm. I will give them credit for leaving comments turned on. That's about the first time they've ever done that.
Mm-hmm. You give them credit on the one side, but is that credit deserving if somehow we now have the ability to remove a downliked thumbs down on a video?
Yeah.
Is there any meaning to it anymore?
Apparently not. It's interesting to me because I'm still a very small channel, obviously. We've hit 82 subscribers, which I'm very thankful for each and every one of the 82 of you who have subscribed to the channel. And I watch the ratios on my videos. I pay close attention to them. And because it tells me something. Sometimes it's just that I've touched on something that somebody ran into my video from a suggested video, decided they didn't like it for whatever reason. Sometimes it's because some of my more regular viewers, for whatever reason, didn't like the topic or what have you. And a lot of times you can get a rough idea of what caused it, based on comments within the video. And so I watch it, right? Because it tells me something. And in particular, if I've got a video that had a lot of views from non-subscribers, that's even more useful of a measure, right? And so it's something to me that's important about the health of the channel. I don't expect 100% upvote. That's ridiculous. And I've never had a video get nastily ratioed. The worst one I had was a little bit.
Work on it, young man. You'll get there one day.
You never know with these downvotes.
Never know. Don't assume anything.
Yeah,
don't do it.
The worst one I ever had personally was my video about the boys getting review bombed. And, of course, it was about, it wasn't about the content of the show, which I can at least understand to an extent, right? The content of the show is like, if they'd known ahead of time how woke, particularly that episode 7 was going to get. And then, looking back, that really it was woke the whole time. They just did a good job of hiding it.
Yeah.
But my video on that got downvoted by people who were pissed that they were weekly releasing the show. That's what was generating the downvotes on it. And, but I had a pretty good ratio. I was happy with it, right? It's like, okay, that, this tells me something. I had a lot of folks who aren't subscribers watch this, and, this makes sense. But, if I'm Star Trek here, and before I've even started my stream, I'm at a severely negative ratio. I mean, what you should take away from that is that people are not pleased with your overall product, right? I mean, that's what that's telling you. You've
or at least some part of it. It's a very the thumbs up, thumbs down is a very general measure. It doesn't give you any sort of direction. Realistically, you could do that, and if there weren't so many issues with the actual content of comments, you could get something from people who had enough interest, who cared enough to leave you a comment that meant something. Yes. And then you'd have the thumbs up, thumbs down is just an engagement factor of happy, sad. Yeah. Very emotional. It's very, very subjective. But the thing is, that still might give you something. For YouTube, it's all about engagement. You were there, you dropped a positive or a negative. That's a little bit of feels. But now it actually, we had a sort of feeling that it meant something up until this point. And I mean, I suppose you could say they get the clue if they have the ability to remove votes that people didn't like it, and now they're well, okay, yes, we've got a lot of trolls, we got a lot of haters, we got a lot of Russian bots, we've got a lot of help me out, how many other ways can we put this so that it's derisive and it's deflecting commentary, and how many other ways can they try to protect themselves while continuing to play the victim?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, I would vamp more if you were.
Yeah, no, it was. It's just. It really bothers me to find out that they had the ability to reset those ratios and delete and remove comments. It questions the integrity of the platform. I mean, it's certainly no shock to anybody that, there's certainly a slant to the moderation of the platform. It doesn't make me any less grateful for it. It is what it is, and it's part of where they're from and who makes up the people that are in the company of YouTube. But one thing I never questioned before this was, at least the integrity of the public view of the platform. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so seeing this happen with the ComicCon panels was just, it was very frustrating. And it goes back to, you wonder, are they playing differently for the larger corporations that can afford to advertise on the platform and, provide them an income stream at YouTube? And it doesn't sit well with me that there now appears to be some proof that they do indeed do some of the things that we suspected all along.
There isn't much you can do. There isn't much you can say otherwise than that. It's definite proof that, quote, shenanigans are going on, and they are definitely in favor of larger content producers rather than smaller.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that isn't even saying much, because at least those of you who hate him or love him, PewDiePie has been on this platform doing content forever, and he's had certain ties with several things that have made issues for him. But the thing is that being an individual, he was always treated sort of more hands off than those that would tout certain certain points of view, certain behaviors, certain other things. And now you see the corporations. I mean, here's another case. Here's the immediate opposite. The immediate opposite of that. The other individual, we've watched Brie Larson's channel get monetized immediately, check marked immediately, instantaneously on that. Now, of course, she says many of the right things and does many of the right things from a certain point of view, but I mean, that's really one-sided. That's really not treating the whole thing as a fair system.
Agreed, but I will say this in that when a big personality comes onto the platform, and lover or hater isn't important. She's certainly a big name, right? Yep. I mean, her content's laughable and it's awful, but she is a big name. She did have a very, very large instant draw. I don't honestly have a big problem with YouTube granting her the instant check mark. And I mean, she certainly met the hurdles to be monetized within hours. The same hurdles that I have, she did meet them within hours. So, you know,
no, she did not. Your hurdles require that you do this information, that you maintain this for several days. She was done in a week.
Well, I mean, it's 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. You know, she was over 100,000 subscribers within hours of her first video. I mean, the channel went up and she dropped the first video. This is all on the same day. She was over 4,000 watch hours within 24 hours. I mean, we can't necessarily speak of precisely when she was monetized, but it's, I mean, look, I don't like the lady, but I don't have an objection to how they treated her because, you know, if RDJ was to come onto the platform, I would expect him to have a check mark. I would expect him to have 100,000 subscribers in less than a day. And I would expect him to, you know, to meet the other monetization hurdles virtually instantly. I mean, that doesn't bother me, right? When it's a legit, well-known name.
Yeah.
You know, because they do meet the hurdles, even if they give them, you know, even if they give them the clearance a little bit early. I mean, I'm okay with that because, I mean, yeah.
Or maybe I'm just a hater.
I mean, for a regular content creator, yeah, it's a process of a couple of weeks once you meet all the hurdles and you get the monetization and things like that. But I mean, you know, maybe it's because I am kind of a big business guy, to be fair. I've worked in the corporate world. I'm okay with the corporate world. It's what I do. I even negotiate. I mean, what I do professionally is I negotiate contracts. So, I mean, you know, if I'm Bree's representatives, I'm going to reach out to YouTube and frankly, write a contract, you know, to an extent. And
if you had the ability to grease those wheels, if you actually had that ability.
Yeah. And if I was in YouTube's, on their side and dealing with stuff like that, as far as the contracts go, that wouldn't trouble me at all. You certainly do exceptional things for exceptional situations, and a big name like that starting channel and producing content. I mean, you know, that follows as an exceptional situation for me. Now we can roast her all day for how cringe her content is,
and we don't even have to go there. I don't want to go there because that's not the topic of discussion. This is purely about reaching those goals, doing it, how fast that it occurs, how fast validation occurs. I mean, and that it speaks directly to it when you brought up just like what the nature of your business is. And that's immediately why I went, well, this then it's big business. It's greasing the wheels. It's YouTube doing it. This is coming back around. This is pointing at it. YouTube doing what they can to keep eyes on the screens, keep eyes on their ads or paying customers in their business.
Yeah.
So the thing is that at things like deleting these comments and things like that, to get back to the original point.
Sure.
If it makes them, if you can delete comments, then you're YouTube. You can get right in there and you can do it. You can change it. You can do it. You can manipulate all that data all day long.
Yeah.
But then
that's what was frustrating to me, is the clear evidence that they manipulated the data here. I mean, that's what bothered me. Vigilante Williamson asked an interesting question in the chat. He doesn't get the Brie Larson thing either way. Why is she so hated? I'm with you on this piece of what you wrote here. I'm not a fan, but you don't see why she's so especially hated or controversial. Funny content about her, but you don't get it. So I think a couple of points, Vigilante, that drive it is when they were doing the press junket and doing the promotion for it was A Wrinkle in Time, wasn't it, Draco?
Yes, A Wrinkle in Time.
So look at me. I'm a middle-aged white dude. You know what I read when I was a kid? A Wrinkle in Time. You know what book I friggin' loved when I was a kid? A Wrinkle in Time. Draco, did you read that when you were younger?
Yes.
Yeah, I read it. It was a great book. I read all three. I've got A Wrinkle in Time and A Wind in the Door on my bookcase in the other room right now. I got them specifically because I wanted to give them to my kids to read them. And then, of course, they didn't. But, that's another issue. But these were great books, right? They were fun adventures. I mean, shit, they're genre, right? I mean, that's the type of stuff that we're into. Just because it was a different spin on it didn't make it not kind of a science fantasy, because it was. And so I was a fan of the IP. And during the press junkets for that, Vigilante, Brie gave she was talking to the press. I don't know if press conference isn't the right word, but it was one of the things where they're doing promos for the movie. And she said, this isn't an exact quote, but it's pretty close. It's been a little while since I've heard it verbatim, but basically she said, I don't need a 40-year-old white dude telling me what to do. This wasn't made for you. And, quite frankly, fuck you, Brie. This is an IP that was dear to me as a child, just as dear to me as Spider-Man was, just as dear to me as Star Wars was, in many, many ways. It was one of the very first science fantasy adventures I ever read. And I loved it. I read that book over and over again when I was a kid. It was one of the things that generated and created a love for reading in me, right? I mean, I loved the property. And then to tell me that, my thoughts on it when I say, gosh, maybe I don't like some of the changes you're making to the property, and just to tell me to F off because I'm an old white guy, well, you F off, Brie, because this is just as dear to me, probably more dear to me than it was to her, because she's not of an age group where she was likely to have even read the goddamn book. I don't know. That's just me. But beyond that, the idea that you should be making content specifically for a particular demographic in general, I find objectionable. So, I mean, like about the only difference I would draw is, maybe there's stuff that's, okay for kids versus not, right? And that's about the only distinction I would draw in terms of who you're making something for. Because beyond that, we're all people. Man, woman, white, black, I mean, anything. We are all people, and we can all resonate with good storytelling, just like I did when I read A Wrinkle in Time when I was a kid. And that's why Brie pisses me off. Her YouTube content is cringe as fuck, but it's, that's another issue. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Draco? Because that's what pissed me off about Brie, was that crap.
Well, yes, that is the crap. That I was basically looking. It takes a little bit of time when I'm not ready for it. It's so much easier at home.
Yeah.
But the thing is I actually did find that speech at the Crystal Award for Excellence in Film 2018, and realistically, this was. I barely knew who Brie was when she was. Oh, excuse me. I barely knew who Brie was when she was picked for the Captain Marvel. I had seen her in Kong Skull Island, and I didn't hate her or like her. I just thought, okay, this girl she's gonna play Captain Marvel. I hope it's good. And
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Vigilante's comment here.
the non-cheeks, yes. Well, that's why you need butt doubles.
She did literally have a butt double in Captain Marvel.
She did butt double in Captain Marvel.
Oh, good. I'm sorry I derailed you. You were right. Keep going.
But yeah, and you know, part of this is the amount of times that we get, and we've been getting it beaten into our heads while the coof has been going on about celebrities saying things and wanting to say stuff to us and wanting us to listen to them while they don't have their normal platforms to say certain things. Well, in 2018, she made that comment, and that comment was, well, in the context of everything she's talking about, it means far more. But when she makes a point of stating that about not caring what certain of us think that do care about the material and being called ists and phobes for it by other people, it's the whole stack of things. Her saying that was just another thing that adds to the stack of information from these adult pretenders that tell us that we should do the things that they say because we listen to them, right? And then we say, no, we watch you because you're entertaining when you are in fact entertaining. I mean, hell,
they're paid to be not them. Quite literally, that is what they are paid for. You know, you know, I mean, it goes, you know, shut up and dribble, shut up and act, just entertain me. That's literally what I'm paying you for. Yeah, exactly, Vigilante. It's what we love them for is not their opinion. It's their performance. I mean, all performance arts and athletic, at the end of the day, it's about entertainment, whether it's football, whether it's baseball, whether it's soccer, you know, whether it's acting, whether it's Broadway shows, orchestral performances. They exist for an affluent society to be entertained. And I don't give a shit what any of them have to say about my daily life or politics or what have you. Because
I mean, they've kind of gotten mixed up, if I may add to that, because you've got what was the thing that actually made their opinions count in their own mind? Well, you would have actors who would see children and young people dressed up as them and talking about how I loved you in that movie. Now, loved you in that movie, and they would see people cosplay and things like that. Sports stars, the young kids who come up to them, the disenfranchised kids who say, man, I love you. I wish I could be like you. I practice all the time, or I do that. They're emulating the traits that these people do to entertain. Mm-hmm. They're not necessarily interested in emulating the traits that the people take on in their private lives, in their non-public lives.
Yep.
But the public figure puts that out there because I'm a public figure. I can use my public platform to do these things. And then, just as Vigilante Williamson mentioned, how they are grading on us, putting that private part of themselves out there as part of their public persona, which is not the reason why the children and the people who like them in their performances are there for. And seeing that difference, that dichotomy, that's two separate things.
Yeah, I mean, you know, think back to how we advertised those sorts of people back in the day. You've got one of the best advertising campaigns that Nike ever did was "I want to be like Mike." You know, I mean, and I bet you everybody in this chat still remembers that jingle. You know, I want to be like Mike. If I could be like Mike, right? And I loved that. I wanted to be like Mike. I mean, granted, I had no chance of being like Mike, but I mean, you remember that campaign, right?
Yes, saw it many times. Too much television in my 30s when that came out. No, 20s. That was my 20s.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, we all remember that. It was a great ad campaign. It's Jennifer Sisko, she in the chat, she said, celebs are in la la land. They have no clue how the real world works. And Mary, spot on. Generally, they're not even smart enough to write their own parts. And
very true, Mary G.
You are so right. Very few exceptions that are able to transcend beyond just the adult pretending and go beyond that. Vigilantes, that campaign made them billions, and all told with influence, and the fact the brand is so powerful now because of that campaign. You are exactly right, Vigilante. Dead on. Clobberin' Times, welcome. Glad that you made it. But you think there's very few actors who are capable of taking that next step and being the actual creative who's producing the material, not just presenting it to us. The quality writing and things like that. I mean, I can think of a few examples in current Hollywood that are capable of that. Love them or hate them, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon have writing talent. Matt Damon. And I mean, they wrote together Good Will Hunting, which was an excellent movie. I loved that flick when it came out. Still own a copy of that. And they are talented writers. But I mean, going beyond that, I mean, who else is doing the acting and the writing these days? I mean, maybe Tarantino. Anybody else you can think of, Draco?
So few. I mean, geez, the last time I can remember hearing about creative actors writing was, I mean, I'm sure more cases have come up, but I remember when we found out that Argo was written by, you just mentioned his name, Affleck.
Yeah.
That Affleck was one of the writers on his project, Argo. And so that's a passion project of his. And he's been a writer his entire life.
Yes. And Vigilante Williamson brings up Seth MacFarlane. That's it. Yeah, that's a good one.
Good point. Yep.
Rogan. Yeah, I'll give you Rogan. And I won't knock Rogan just because he mainly does comedy, because the truth of the matter is comedy is a hell of a lot harder to do than drama or action or any of the other types of genres. Comedy's hard. and love him or hate him, Seth Rogen has made me laugh my ass off a lot. And I will give you that one. Bobby Greer, how are you, sir? Welcome to the stream. Glad you made it. So, but yeah, those are a few. I mean, cute. I mean, nothing else really pops to mind. And then you think about the slate of the A-list pretenders out there. And, you got all those Hollywood types that showed up naked trying to tell us how to vote the other day. And not a one of them is in that list of folks we just talked about. So yeah, exactly, Vigilante. He has definitely made some classics. The dude has made me laugh a lot. And yeah, I mean, his politics ain't mine, but Lord, my eyes. Just that video. If anybody missed it, there was a video that dropped a few days ago where a bunch of celebs, mostly C and B lister type people like Josh Gad and Sarah Silverman, and Ruffalo was in there, and a few other bigger names, Amy Schumer, and they were literally all butt ass naked, giving everybody instructions on how to vote. It was cringe. I will give him that it was clever, though, at least, I suppose. But yeah, not something I wanted to see from any of them at all. At least Ruffalo had the good sense to say that he knew everybody wanted him to put his clothes on. So they didn't look good. No, Mary, they did not look good at all. Yeah. I mean, the chat's reaction is generally what everybody else's was. It's on Gary's channel on Nerdrotic Friday night, they showed the video and it was bad. Couldn't they get Gal Gadot to do it? No, Lord, because she's got class, man. The funny thing is she probably does vote like all of them, but she does her own thing. So, Vigilante says they showed up nude to get us the vote, but won't put money together to save their industry. Yeah, Schumer and Handler looking like grandmas trying to thirst trap guys to slide into their DMs. Oh, God. All right, we got Latino Slant coming in to join us. Polly, how are you doing, good sir?
Greetings. Greetings from the Republic of Hollywood.
Yes, indeed.
I come here from behind enemy lines. CBS. I kill CBS. I kill CBS.
Oh hell!
Polly, we were so first of all, everyone in chat, welcome to Polly from the Latino Slant channel. If you do not already subscribe to Latino Slant, by God, do that right now.
God,
where the hell are you? This guy is a star. Look at him. Just look at him. Look at those glasses.
Polly has
star.
An amazing channel putting together some really great content. And he even got the privilege of having his live stream nuked the other night by CBS.
For what? For liking a fucking trailer.
I know, right? It's we'll chat about that trailer in a little bit, Polly. I wanted to go through that because I finally watched it today. I tried to watch it during the replay of your stream, but CBS nuked it, so I couldn't.
I sure did. That's why I did that little the 15-minute best of and put it up today.
Yeah, I caught that.
We made fun of that. I added some graphics. That was a lot of fun, man. That was a lot of fun.
That's the thing is they're so used to Polly. They're so used to people being mean because they're being mean all over them that they're not used to the appreciation.
I gotta tell you, bro. I mean, you want to talk about this now, Jake? This is your channel. Where were we? You want to talk about something else?
Yeah. Well, I mean, did you enjoy a naked Josh Gad telling you how to vote the other day, Polly? I mean, that was like the highlight of your week, wasn't it?
I mean, listen. If she didn't talk, Sarah Silverman looking really good for her age, but shut up. That's about it. Everything else was like, ew. Chris Rock, yo, put a shirt on, brother.
Was Chris Rock there too? Oh, geez.
Oh yeah. That's like the first thing.
I brought up a comment that you just missed from Vigilante Williamson, man. Schumer and Handler, he says they're looking like grandmas trying to thirst trap guys into their DMs.
At least with Chelsea, she's always had that self-deprecating humor, though. I actually appreciate her shit. But that being said, I don't go out of my way and watch her stuff.
Yeah.
But nah, man, it was
Yeah, it was. I don't know, man. That was I mean, I keep thinking we're going to see peak 2020 at some point.
Right?
Or Valley 2020. It just keeps going lower. It keeps going lower. It keeps going lower. We can't possibly hit the bottom. Oh yeah, here we go, down 4.
I thought we're there. I thought we're there, and then they butt-ass naked Mark Ruffalo tells me how to vote. That was.
They don't even just tell you. They talk slowly to you as if you are an infant, a toddler, an individual of low IQ and capability.
I mean, apparently there's a lot of people who don't know how to put a ballot into an envelope and put it in the mail or drop it off at the drop box, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's just a lot of, everyone needs to get back to work.
Yeah.
That's what helps.
Y'all need some acting jobs. Y'all need to shut up and get back to work.
Mrs.
Slant is going back to work this week. She got 2 acting.
Hey,
oh,
yeah. Excellent, excellent, man. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
What kind of gigs are they? I mean, is it TV? Is it feature
Mrs.
film?
Slant will be on 911 on Fox's 911. Coming, she is reoccurring. So
excellent.
Yeah. So, just a little Hollywood insight. Because that's how I deliver.
They said she got a couple gigs though. Was it?
Right. Well, so she starts filming Wednesday. So she's got to do at least 2 or 3 COVID tests before she can walk on set. So they're pretty serious. That's pretty interesting.
2 or 3 before she can get on set.
Yeah.
Are they making one? Are they making her
one Saturday?
Does she have to stay at the filming location once she gets there?
Oh, I don't know. When we had interviewed the actress from the Selena TV series, she was saying she had her own. Everyone had their own makeup person, which is never done. You always would go to the makeup trailer, and so it's kind of like a hub for germs. Is every actor goes after they get dressed, they go get makeup.
Makes sense.
That's separate. Yeah, a lot of things that make sense, I guess. At least people are working, bro.
Yes. Amen to that.
Let's get people back to work. Hey, yeah, thanks, Jennifer. Lord, did I arrest her, Paul? Shit, Lord, you better chill out. No, she's another one. She's gonna be playing a fire captain.
Excellent.
Yeah, she has a very very strong presence, beautiful presence on camera. But her other job is she's got a lead role in a play that first time they're filming it for the virtual audience, and it's a paying job, and it's it's Medea, so it's like a Greek tragedy, kind of upgraded for the times, which that writer that's doing this is pretty amazing. So it's think of it as the West Coast version of Broadway. They're called Center Theater Group. They're the ones producing it, and then we'll get the info up, guys. But I'm just happy. We're just very grateful here at the house.
Dude, absolutely.
Yes.
I'm guessing that went on your gratitude list past couple days.
I gotta write my list. I have to call the sponsor every day, like by 6 or 7 p.m. just to check in. Thanks for asking. The thing with staying sober is that you don't want to keep your program stale. So we're always doing different things every few weeks, months to work the program. So right now he's like, oh, well, just call me every day and tell me 3 things you're grateful for. Like, cool, all right. That's
there you go.
Yeah.
All right,
enough of
man.
That. Let's get into some.
It's all good. Nah, it's actually a good segue, man.
I want to tell everyone, Jake D's the man, and y'all need to really support him. If you haven't already, right now, share. What's really important is that we share this link right now. We're gonna like it, all that good shit. But we like I shared it, I tweeted it, and I waited 10 minutes so people can you know, like, oh, okay, well, let me go check out this new guy. And that's how we keep growing together. And that's how, you know, because Jake's got a great, smart perspective on things, and we want to keep nurturing that.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
so,
man,
I mean, I mean, talking about Mrs. Slant going back to work is actually a bit of a decent segue into a piece I wanted to talk about today.
Okay.
And that is, you know, the massive destruction that we're seeing in the movie industry with all these movies that have gotten delayed out of 2020 and even beyond that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I found this article on Vulture the other day. It's a pretty good and probably not even comprehensive list of everything that's been delayed. So check this out.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing is alphabetical. And I'm just going to keep going. Just going to keep going. Just going to keep going.
You're only at the D's. Keep going.
Yeah, we're just going to keep going. We keep going.
Finally, halfway through the alphabet.
All right. All right. There's more. Oh,
there was no time to die, in case you were wondering, guys.
We're still going. Oh, my goodness. We're finally to the U's. There's the W's. And damn. That is a long-ass list of delayed movies.
Oh, wow.
You know,
West Side Story, another year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
yeah, they've really given up on this cycle. I think a lot of these films between now and December that they're wanted to get in for Oscar consideration, they're just going to push them back for another year. It's just so stupid. Just it's not for you guys and your wards. You know, release movies for us to entertain us, and we'll give you money, and you go and make more and entertain us. But entertain us correct. Entertain us well.
Absolutely.
They still want those big ticket prices, though. They can't get all those big ticket prices in all those locations where they can't get people because the government isn't letting people into the theaters. They aren't letting the theaters open.
Mm-hmm.
If they can't get that, they're not going to get the same ticket price they can for. I mean, it's the argument that was brought up. Just a bright shining light on this because Mulan. This was the big experiment. Get people to pay $30 for a single. This isn't a whole family. This is just a single. On top of their paywall. And,
sure, with the Disney Plus access to Mulan, right?
Yep. That was the experiment. Okay, so we got the paywall. This is our service. We can control the release of it. Now we're going to release it, but instead of getting several individual tickets, 2 parents and 2 children or whatever with and all that, including whatever I don't know whatever the now we need Odin's movie blog, the whatever essentials that they get from that, all that extra price. Instead, they pack that down to $30 and say that's one family.
Mm-hmm.
And that was their big experiment, and they weren't very happy with the results. And they continue to not be very happy with the results, as we can see here.
Yeah. You know, the interesting thing is, had I had an interest in seeing Mulan, I personally find that $30 reasonable if it's something that I'm purchasing and I get to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Bill and Ted, right? So Bill and Ted Face the Music dropped. Not only did I go see it in theaters, I bought it digitally off Amazon as well. I didn't find their price to be unreasonable. I liked the movie, so I bought it to keep it, right? And so the price point that they had, that didn't bother me in the least bit. And I think that the biggest thing that Disney really learned from it is that Disney Plus is not and may never be big enough to handle a movie like that for it to recover its money. Because you may have noticed it's available on other VOD platforms now too. You know, you can go get it on Amazon. You can go get it on Vudu or whatever wherever it is that you might buy your digital movie content. It's available out there now. So, you know, I mean, that's not necessarily an indictment of the VOD process so much as it is Disney Plus itself not being able to bring in that kind of cash for the release.
It is slightly pointed at the VOD process because this is the very nature of the business. It's a distributed, it's a highly distributed cost instead of that high upfront individual charge. I mean, that was the one thing you could do that on the initial release. This is the way it's been since the beginning. Ever since that there was home video.
Yep.
I mean, remember home video? How many? Do you guys even remember, or do you know? Have you gone back and looked how much there was this rage from the movie makers as to when Beta and VHS were becoming a thing, and how they wanted to protect their ability to get people into theaters. So they placed this initial cost on them. The initial cost of the cassette was astronomical, and rentals became a thing. And the delay in between the first run movie and the first availability on the home release was spaced out to allow that initial run, and they would vary that based on being able to how much money can we make from this? How long is it staying in the theater? How much money does it make over the long term?
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. The studios resisted the idea of rentals. You know, your blockbuster video. That was actually. I mean, a lot of us forget that was a really big deal. Even getting video rental to exist at all, and ultimately, it was a positive for the industry. I mean, God, I remember so many times as a kid and you know, as a young man, even in my 20s, you know, walking into the rental place and, you know, you'd walk around your Blockbuster or your Hollywood Video, whatever it was, depending on where you were at, you know, and I'd just walk through the aisles and, you know, you'd find something maybe because there'd be days you'd walk in and you'd be like, you know, I have no idea what the hell I want to watch tonight, right? And a lot of times I'd pick something out that maybe I'd never seen before. And that was a good way to continue additional running revenue. And, you know, if there was something that I really liked, I'd go buy it.
And the cool video stores, like kind of like the independent chains or ones that were one-offs, they'd always have that cool section recommended by the clerks.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
which were awesome. I mean, most of the time, right? Yeah, it was an event. It was a thing to do with your roommates, with your girlfriend, with whoever, right?
Lord Thoth figured out when peak 2020 is.
He got literal on that shit.
Very much so.
Just saying. Orale. But you know, Jake, I was thinking of, you know, what just over the like several last weeks and, you know, and months, and just from, you know, hearing all the you know, the big timers, you know, like Gary to us, you know, like just as far as like where is the movie business going? What's the future?
Yeah, and that's
it's
to an extent. That's what we're seeing on this screen, right? It's really raising that question you're asking.
Right. So I'm thinking that you know, there's always gonna be a niche like the record player. The record player never died. It just went away, got real small. But there was always that cult following, even though you had the DVD, the CDs, and then digital. And now it's making its way back.
Yes.
Because people always like to, you know, the look and feel of vinyl. I think that's going to be this. I know that's going to be the same thing for the movie theater experience. People will have money, will include that in their houses, but most of us don't have that type of shit.
Nah.
Some guy I know who works for Apple was posted, oh, that's the future. It's gonna be these blah 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 home movie theaters. I'm like, oh, man, who's got money for that? You know, it's gonna be a niche of these really. It's gonna go back to the old school, you know, like the movie theaters that we like our local market,
local cinemas.
Yeah, and I think what to me, if I was if you know, as far as between now and the beginning of the year, if I was, you know, the head of, like, let's say, how do we release some of these things? It's like, well, let's make events. Let's make events. Like, let's make it like a one weekend at a drive-in, and then let's do a Christmas style event, you know, online, and release these babies so people can get Christmas gifts for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll make some money, and down the road we'll make all our money back. But pushing shit out, you know, canceling stuff.
It's gonna have to be a long-term plan anymore. You're exactly right. I mean, the days of the mega blockbuster could easily be over.
Well, Vigilante, you know, we have them. We have really great low budget films that don't get distribution, that you may, you know, have missed, no fault of your own, because they don't make it into those distribution hubs or VODs. So there was a movie that came out that a friend of mine wrote called Murder in the Woods of Danny Trejo. And it opened up in 28 screens across the country, which nowadays ain't shit, but that's a big deal because it included the drive-ins. And then I want to say 2 weeks ago, it made video on demand. That movie was made 5 years ago.
I've never even heard of it, and I love Danny Trejo.
Right. You know, mindless slasher film, hot chicks running around, that stuff.
Dude, that is Danny Trejo can do that shit. He's made for that.
I think he's the sheriff. Like, if you look it up, I think he plays the park sheriff or some shit like that. But my point is that the executive producer and the director stuck with. I mean, they made something 5 years ago. They didn't give up on trying to get a distribution deal. The timer's right this year. Pop. They got a nice deal, man. I'm sure
and it was Murder in the Woods, Paulie?
Murder in the Woods. So, you know, there are avenues. People are so hungry for good entertainment. You know, I never heard of you. Yeah, I'm just using it, guys, as an example. Vigilante and anyone watching is that people, filmmakers, writers, and I'm talking independent. We're talking pure independent now. You know, they're minor miracles to get their movies made on their own. And then where do you take them? And look, if you got the right you know, the right time is now for these people to get in, make a couple bucks, you know, get their money back, and then they got this distribution of being on VOD, being in the movie theaters, drive-in theaters. I think it's wonderful, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, dude, absolutely. And you know, to Vigilante's point about we may ironically get better low-budget movies. I mean, I think he's dead on, right? And that's what made you think about Murder in the Woods, but because what we're seeing here from this giant ass list of stuff that's delayed, right? So Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Studios. You're right.
Yeah, these are all your big studios. So I mean, the shortest delay on this list of like 150 movies plus is like 6 months. Most of this shit's been delayed a year, right? So, I mean, 2020 is the year without any big releases whatsoever, which is a first in our lifetimes, really. I mean, for any of us on the panel, any of us here in the chat, we've never seen anything like that. And so, you know, the theaters, they cannot weather this. Mm-hmm. I mean, they can't. Every one of those guys, whether they're a chain, whether they're a local mom and pop, whether they're a small regional theater. Like the one that I love going to is called Flicks. It's a small regional place. It's like an Alamo Draft House.
Yeah,
Flicks is great. I love Flicks.
Well, listen, before all this bullshit happened, theaters were still having a hard time staying relevant. And now it's like, I mean, because the theater experience got to be like the recliners and the blankets and the full service, right? Alamo was kind of the first to do that about in the mid 90s. Started those started in Austin, and then they stuck with it and they got a great formula.
Yep. And Flicks is the same formula as Alamo, and it's hell, even AMC has other than the seat service, they've transitioned to be almost exactly like Alamo and Flicks. I mean, they got a bar in house. They got like custom made food, made to order. It ain't just popcorn and a hot dog anymore, right? Because that's what the audience was expecting. But
shit, I'm getting hungry.
So but these theaters, I mean, they can't survive without having something to show. And I Lord Thoth pointed out that Tenet fell on its face, and I think. I mean, there's a lot of factors that went into that. One is, like it or not, people are still getting told that it's not safe to be out and about. And there's a lot of people out there, right, wrong, or otherwise doesn't matter. There's a lot of people out there afraid to go to a theater right now. I mean, I've been to like 7 or 8 movies since they reopened here in Texas. It's great. I'm loving it, man. It's we saw Empire Strikes Back a few days ago, man. The first one I went to see when they reopened was Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean,
well, that's my opinion on Tenet, is that it's probably not the right movie, feel good movie to bring people back to for them to take the risk.
Yeah.
It's all you always need that one, like maybe Wonder Woman would be great.
Yeah.
With Tenet, it's like it's weird. It's it's very abstract. It's cool, but for us, but it's like the mainstream. It's like, what is that? It's not a Batman. It's not Dark Knight. Or even like a great comedy with a Jim Carrey or something like that.
Oh man, I miss great Jim Carrey comedies. He hasn't made a hot one for a while.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't know if it was the right film.
Yeah.
Like Tax Collector, that came out a couple months ago with Shia LaBeouf. We did a lot on it. A lot of coverage on it.
Despite the fact that Shia LaBeouf is a crazy son of a bitch, most of the time he's a pretty good actor.
Well, it's a shoot 'em up film. It's a pure shoot 'em up film, popcorn film. That's what people want right now. So it made millions. It made millions, and then it made millions on VOD for weeks. So what does that tell you? People are just thirsty. Thirsty. Yeah,
absolutely. And we haven't seen the official numbers, but I guarantee you Bill and Ted is in the black. We don't know how much money they made, but I guarantee you, I mean, they made several million in the box office, and reportedly they had a fair bit of VOD purchases. I mean, their budget for that thing was only $25 million.
Oh, well, they'll make them money.
Oh God, yes, yeah, and they
long run,
and of that 25, I mean, Keanu, Winters, any of the other bigger named actors in there who were working for union scale, not for their regular paychecks. They took their paychecks and they sunk it back into the production costs. So a budget of 25 is not actually 25 on this movie because they double counted production cost and actor pay.
Oh, okay.
When the actor pay went back into the production cost.
Yeah.
So it's probably more like 22, 20 to 22 than even the 25 that we heard.
So the stuff that is coming out, you know, like when you know, The Stand, right? And I'll bring it up, but you know how I feel about CBS now.
Those dirty dogs.
Well, I'm now calling them entertainment machines.
They are.
It looks so fantastic, The Stand. I love the actors, the new one.
Dude. Yeah.
Right?
Oh God.
But,
I watched that trailer before I kicked the stream off because I was wanting to talk about it, especially if you popped on. Dude, that was good.
Hey, man, I dare you. Play it, man. Come on, play it.
I really don't want the stream shut off. It's
my point. My point besides it being, you know, like just surprising.
Do you have that still of Mother Abigail you could pull up?
You
know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm on an iPad. Let me put.
Oh, okay. No.
Let me send it on the Discord. Yeah, hold on.
Perfect. Yeah, because that's a great still.
Oh, look, there's Frodo. I'm now Frodo Baggins.
Oh man, and you look like the version of Frodo when he was Craven trying to take the ring from. No, it's Bilbo trying to take the ring from Frodo. There, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there's one.
Yes, that's the one I wanted right there.
This one right there. This is my new logo. Oh God. Oh man.
Oh yeah, your new logo. I am a fan.
my quick point on what's going on with you know, something like this. Obviously, the fans and people are like us are jacked about and want to see it. So people doing their press junkets, their interviews, talking about, oh, it's so relevant for the times. It's so this for the times. Shut the F up. People don't want to hear that.
No.
People want to be entertained. Stop.
Yes.
Enough with this, like every movie that's coming out, oh God, it's so timely in this strange year. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, exactly, man. And this I love this image. Like this still is everything about it I love. The only criticism I would have, and it's maybe a small one, maybe a big one, depending on your point of view. She doesn't look old enough.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I brought that up when you compared to Ruby Dee, who played her in the 90s, because Ruby Dee was really by then real crinkly and old and shit. And she was wonderful. Whoopi almost looks a little too healthy here.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's it. Because she's what, 108 in the book, if I remember right.
Right.
I mean, that's my only critique, and that's not a big one, honestly. The only problem I've got with this is maybe she looks too young.
And then you got Marsden and Skarsgård.
Yeah, which Skarsgård is it?
It's Alexander, is it?
Is it Alexander? Okay, yeah.
But
there's too many of them.
You know, now I'm like, you know, for me, I don't know if I'm gonna watch it now, which sucks. You know, and then I kept reading their, you know, these people's junkets about, like, you know, like the director and executive producer about, like, you know, just making it timely, and it's just like, dude, shut up. I don't want to hear it. I just want to be entertained. But anyways.
Yeah. It's I mean, this is beautiful though. I love this for Mother Abigail. I really do. It's almost a shame that they can't set the time at the same point. Do we know what year they're making it take place in, Polly? I mean, are they doing it in 2020, or are they rolling it back like it was in the book? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know. I do know that what I read was that it is they're being a little more faithful to the book. they're allowing for more of the storylines of some of these other characters that were kind of cut out from the 90s version.
Mm-hmm.
And that Stephen King himself rewrote the final episode, which could be great or it could be god awful.
You know, that's the one point I would have let him pen everything except the final episode. Because my biggest complaint about the book The Stand is that it kind of felt like he just didn't know how to end it, so he just fucking ended it. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, you said that earlier.
Yeah, I would have let him pen every episode except the ending. You know, then again, maybe he's had 30 years to think about it and he can do it a little better now. I don't know. But yeah, don't show CBS trailers and you don't cross the streams.
Yeah. Unreal, man.
Dude, I can't even comprehend why they'd have an issue with you showing a trailer. It's like they're missing something fundamental about the business. They need the word to get out. They need buzz to build. They need people to be excited to see this. So yeah, share a trailer everywhere you fucking want, right?
Or the flip side is that someone very very devious behind their PR campaign is like, let's strike every reaction, every YouTuber out there, and that means they'll just make more videos, talk more about us, which is what we've been doing, which I've been doing the last 24 hours now. So just on what I've done alone the last freaking 24 hours, think about it. How much more I've given more attention I've given to The Stand. It's just like, wow.
Did you get a full on strike, or did you just get a copyright claim and block?
No, though they stopped the live stream, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So
but did you get a channel strike for it?
No. Okay, so then this morning that stream was blocked. So
okay,
I had already downloaded it, so I made a best of. So that's up on my page, and then the original stream, it's there, but I just went ahead and
edit out
the trailers. Yeah. So
okay. So, we're being logical. That's not Hollywood, Polly.
I don't know what to tell you, Jennifer.
That was Mary. That was Mary.
Mary.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you, Mary.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it's me, at least with a trailer, I mean, I can dig it on, full content and things like that. But for a trailer, build the buzz, man. You get as many people excited as you can. But I mean, you make a fair point about, it's got us chatting about it. And
totally. I mean, and it's like, who am I? I got someone with 200 subscribers, and they stopped the stream. Like, what? Yeah. So stupid,
dude. It is what it is. I've had a couple of videos get blocked. I haven't had any strikes, but a couple of blocks. Yeah. It was one of them was CBS. So CBS is a little heavy-handed on their content blocking. But
I'm glad you're doing your stream every Sunday afternoon. This is good. Keep it up, man. Keep it up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this, though, man. I really am. And Whoopi is a lot of things, but one of those things that she is a good actor. Whoopi does a good job on screen, and I mean, I'm totally good with her as Mother Abigail, and everybody that I saw in the trailer, for the most part, it's somebody I know and has at least reasonable acting chops. And The Stand's a favorite story of mine, man. It was. I remember when they released the complete and uncut edition. And it was advertised all over TV. Get The Stand complete and uncut today. It was like Mr. Movie Phone was the one doing the commercials.
So. Yeah, that was funny, Mr. Movie Phone. Man, Movie Phone lasted for a while,
dude. Yeah, and that was. I read that as a kid, and it was It was a favorite of mine. I loved that book. I go back and reread it probably, I don't know, once every 7-8 years or so. 'Cause I mean, it's a tome. It's 1,500 pages, for God's sake.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, back to Whoopi. Oh, there he is.
That was a favorite of mine as well.
See, Draco,
he's Whoopi. Yeah, JFO. Her
Mother Abigail. Whoopi's looking a little pale right now.
Oh, stop it, Mary G. The thing with Whoopi is her claim to fame was that she had a one-woman Broadway show where she played 7 different people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think her one prop was a scarf, and she would wrap it and do different shit with her hair, and she was another person. That was early 80s. That's how she came. That's how she came onto the scene. So.
Wait, you mean it wasn't Sister Act? I thought it was Sister Act.
That's what got her. That's what got Spielberg. Spielberg noticed her for and cast her in color.
She was great in that. She was very good in that.
Yeah,
that's the first time we got to see her. I mean, for all of the time seeing her as Guinan in the Next Generation, where she's basically playing a wiser version of Whoopi, she started out as a character actor.
Mm-hmm.
Before we cared about calling actresses actors, I always appreciated her for her ability to carry those roles and to put real gravitas into it. She has been one of our best female actors, at least in her craft.
Oh yeah, man. I agree with the chat 100%. She was brilliant as Guinan.
She's probably going to be great in this as well.
Oh
she's
yeah,
probably going to knock it out the water.
Mm-hmm.
I have no doubt that she will.
I fully expect that of her. I'm just concerned about the era that it comes out in. Just like you said, as I got back in here, I looked at the preview of The Stand, and I felt good about it. I felt like everything that I see looks like something that could come out of the movie. I noticed that it was a large part of the second half of the book is what we were concentrating on, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I just want a well-told story, one of the best Stephen King stories, to be portrayed well.
Yeah.
If I can get that, I will be at least satisfied. I've got a few issues with the TV miniseries of The Stand, but for all of its flaws, its strengths it carried on. I don't think it was that bad, but you could certainly do better.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that miniseries because it came out was around 96 or so. Am I remembering right?
94, 95. I'll double check.
Yeah, somewhere in that range,
mid-90s.
right? Mid-90s. And I remember why I enjoyed that. They did it. Wasn't it Rob Lowe was in it? Am I remembering the right one?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Rob Lowe played the mute.
Yeah.
94, Gary Sinise, Ollie Ringwald.
Gary Sinise, yep.
Great cast. Ruby Dee.
Because that's the thing is I think about the prime front character was Gary Sinise's character who's now been recast. And you're talking about one of the first things I said, and the only thing that concerned me was that they recast it to a black actor, which casting it to an actor of color is fine if that actor carries the gravitas, because he also, from the book, he's a down-home Texas boy.
Yes.
Yeah. As long as you play that, because that's the way his role starts.
Oh, wait, was it the Sinise role? I thought it was Larry Underwood, the rock star guy.
The rocks, unless I got
Underwood.
that different.
He wasn't Texas. He was the
Underwood
guy.
was New York.
New York.
Yeah.
And if that's different, then I got that. I thought that's what he was playing from.
Yeah.
Okay, he's Underwood.
Yeah,
I could see that then. I feel better about that then, because you could definitely have Underwood be any rock pop vocalist.
Yeah, I don't think race is important to the Underwood character at all.
No.
That doesn't. I don't have any trouble when those characteristics are not defining.
Let me also say that because the fact that I missed that's something that I did not read from my one watch of the trailer, is that I thought what he portrayed in that he was playing the
Stan. You're thinking of Stan, isn't it?
Stan. Yes.
I'm pretty sure he's Underwood. Let me look it up.
Because
they were talking about the music, I'm pretty sure. So it had to have been Underwood
too. The way they cut it was like he was Larry.
Okay. Yeah, it had to be Larry.
So see, that's a miss. There you go. That's a mistake that I took from the one watch of it. And like I said, that it didn't even mean that much of me if they portrayed it well. It's always about if they portrayed it well. If the picking him for that role doesn't mean a dang thing. If he plays that character to the hell, if he plays it better than the words on the page. I mean, this is hard. Every book adaptation is hard because you got to thin out the book into the dramatic role of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, to me, in The Stand, there's probably, I'd say there's probably 3 characters for whom the race is probably legitimately important. You're looking at the biggest one right now. I mean, Mother Abigail has to be black, period. It does not work if she's not. End of story. I mean, I think it was Stu Redmond. That's the Texas guy. I think for him it's important because of him being, kind of the West Texas hick guy, and it's probably important for Randall Flagg too. I think the 3 of them, it matters, but the rest you could probably mix any way you want. It's no big deal.
It looks like a great cast. I just was going through it. They got a great character actor in it, Nicholas Lea, who was Krychek in X-Files.
Yeah.
It's a badass actor. But we lost Draco.
We lost Draco. He's at the office, so he's sometimes has to be in and out. So if he comes back, outstanding. If not, thank you for your time, sir.
I'm curious. Maybe we could work on a stream together in the future. On this casting where they change, because I know Fandom has a real big problem sometimes where they're changing the race just to change the race, and which I totally am with when you're putting that in front of like a new concept that makes sense, right? Right. That's like, we're gonna reshape this old legend, but this concept makes sense. Whereas if you reshape this legend just so you can have a woman, a Latino, a black man, you're checking off all the marks, and that's not good. But
Lord Thoth makes a good point. It's probably the racial makeup's probably important for Nadine also. Outside of that, I don't think it matters in any of these.
I'd like to do a stream where we talk about all the roles that were originally written as a African American, as a Latino, because there's a lot, guys, and they were all, and so I'm just saying, I just the reason why it's like I want to bring awareness to the legacy that Hollywood has really always been such a bunch of hypocrites since day one. Since we're talking ages now. We're talking since the 20s. Where there's always been this legacy of just real bad discrimination, and on one end, and then like, aren't you you're the great minority, and we fight for your rights, and we do these movies, or we do these themes, and it's so hypocritical. I just want to talk about that, the hypocrisy sometimes, because there's like I said, and let me just give you two examples, Jake, and I'll shut up. Training Day.
Training Day.
Right?
Okay. I mean, other than seeing the movie, I'm not familiar with.
Well, Training Day's role, Denzel's role was originally white.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. A Beautiful Mind. Remember Jennifer Connelly's role?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a historical movie. It's true to fact, true to people. The woman was a Latina. You would not know that.
I had no idea. No
Okay.
idea.
Okay. All right. Three Kings.
Three
George
Kings.
Clooney's character, George Clooney's character was written to be a black man.
Yeah, that actually kind of makes sense. I didn't know that, but that one doesn't surprise me.
All I'm saying, guys, and then hear me out in the fandom, here in the chat. Yes, she was El Salvadorian. If you look her up, the Beautiful Mind's wife, Jennifer Connelly's character, she's from Salvador. She moved here, immigrant. Great mathematical mind. Met Russell Crowe's character. So, Hollywood is such a weird beast, man, because it does that shit, and yet, it then it tries to rectify itself in the wrong way. Well, let's do our blue check marks nowadays, so we can make up for that shit. What's up, Nick?
What's up, dude? How you doing?
Hey, buddy. Glad you made it.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Had a whole big old dad day, and I'm like, oh, hey, I could plug in some time to do this. So I'm very happy and thankful.
You look like you're coming to us from the dungeon with the dark background and everything there.
Dungeon Nick. So,
hail, just another red shirt, and hail, Lord Thoth.
Draco has been. He seems to have run into some distinctive internet problems. So I think we've lost him. But by God, thanks for coming, Nick.
That, bro.
My pleasure.
I got a split.
Dude, that is a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful idea. That'd be a good discussion.
Because it's Hollywood hypocrisy, and we really need to bring that into light. Because there's generations and generations of think of the American actors that we could have given roles to, just because they're black or Latino. They're American actors, and they were either given to Ben Affleck or Denzel or I don't know what. It's very interesting, guys. The history of Hollywood.
It is.
All right. I'm out. Want to give Nick and Draco the timer, because I know I got a big mouth. I can carry on.
Hey, I'm listening. I'm listening, Paulie. Okay, you keep going on, and I'll keep listening.
That's good timing if you got a pop, man, because we still got to get talking about The Boys. We haven't even gotten into the fucking Boys yet, and I know you didn't watch it.
I miss hanging with Paulie, though. I would have been robot and terrible there a few seconds ago. That was horrible. Listening to your... I was listening. I was into your conversation, and all of a sudden... No!
Yeah, your screen cap didn't come up, so I didn't drop you in because it looked like something was going wrong. Yep. Apparently, I was right.
Very right. Very right. Fortunately, it came back after I rebooted the phone.
There you go. All right, Paulie, thank you for joining. Yes, that is
back.
A great idea for a stream, man. I would love to do that. Maybe we could do a midnight hour on that sometime.
Yeah, well, let's do our research on it on Hollywood. We'll call it the Hollywood Hypocrisy series. Screw it, guys, and you guys are welcome.
I like it.
I
like it.
I would be a genuine honor on my behalf to join in on that. Date, place, and time.
And I would definitely appreciate that too. I always love hanging with you guys. If I can, if and when I can.
Everyone have a good week. Have a good night. Jake D, you're the best, man. Love you, brother.
Hey, appreciate it. Hey, Paulie, before you go, plug the channel one more time, brother.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
First of all, this mic is not connected. And I'd just like to say, CVS, Tú, CBS, tú, aquí, la verga, la verga. Some bad words I just said there, guys.
Oh, and I know every one of them, brother.
The Latino Slant. Every Thursday, we have a live show. We have a big show this Thursday. We got the lead singer of Santana stopping by. His name's Andy Vargas.
Dude, that's gonna be a hot show this week.
That's smoking.
I got a video of him singing the national anthem at Dodger Stadium last year. We're gonna play it. Hey, what's up, Lord?
Oh shit!
Gentlemen. Yeah.
We got our Canadian wrench in the house on the stream today, everybody.
Hey, can you hear me, guys?
Yeah,
perfectly.
I see Eric K too in the chat.
Eric K, what's up, Eric K?
This is a beaut.
It is a pleasure to meet you guys online for the first time.
On the stream, brother.
It's a pleasure.
This would be my second stream ever, actually.
Well, by God.
And the first one was only when I was on a members-only stream, so this is really cool.
So we're popping your actual live on YouTube, Cherry.
Absolutely, yes. It is a pleasure to be on Jake D's live stream. He is awesome. I've been following him for quite some time. And Paulie, 32 Flava Flaves, and Mither. Yeah, this is awesome.
All right, man.
Okay.
So we gotta.
I'm out.
Paulie, thank you, sir.
Be good, everyone.
Take care.
Take care.
So we gotta take some time chatting the boys. Hang on, my headphones just got screwy. One sec.
I understand completely. I understand more than you could possibly know.
There we go. That's better. All right. The Boys season finale. So first, everybody's initial reaction to the Boys season finale. Wait, Nick, what's your take just on episode 8? We'll talk the season in whole afterwards.
Yeah. I am conflicted on it. I have been doing episode reviews, but life and dad life happened, so it's made me extra busy to get to episode 8. But there's things I love, but then there's some things that were kind of repetitive and frustrating. So I'm in a very conflictive sense about it. I don't hate it. I definitely did not. Like I said, I thought there were some cool moments, but for those cool moments, I feel like they kind of derailed other things that could have been cool. Like, I'm really happy that like Kamiko had her vengeance, I guess you could say, on Stormfront. I feel like that was very needed. But because of her and Queen Maeve and Starlight doing what they did, which, don't get me wrong, Stormfront deserved a good ass kicking. But
she did.
And no one should debate that. I agree. And it was cool. Like the way the action was done, especially on a TV show stream, was well done. However, because of that scene being as well done as it was, it made the boys like Frenchie and like Mother's Milk, it made them all look weak and useless. Whereas the season 1, you see them being useful to be able to go toe to toe in their own way. So like I said, equally cool parts, and then there's some really frustrating elements to it. So
all right,
yeah.
Draco, first thoughts on just the season finale episode.
He hates it. He don't want it.
He was jonesing to rip on this, so he must have had to step away.
I didn't step away. There was a grunt there because I didn't know how to start, and I didn't want to go too adult.
You do your worst,
dude. We're an hour and a half.
Do your
into
worst.
Stream. Go as adult as you want. We're an hour and a half in.
This was almost as bad as Game of Thrones. This last episode went to crap. You think it didn't go SJW or whatever? Oh hell yes, it went intersectional in a big way at the end of it. Not to mention this has some of the worst. I mean, there were problems with the writing over the course of the series. I didn't care that much about it, but at the end of it, oh my word, it went bad. If you want me to go into details, I'll go into them now because I've got a few hot points. I got a few hot takes.
I want to hear it.
Let's hear Lord Thoth's initial reaction first, and then we'll start getting into your details, Draco.
So I'm just glad that I have an entertainment room downstairs where I have a projector screen where I can throw my remote at it and it doesn't smash the TV. I am a huge Boys fan. Like, I've collected the comic 20 years ago when it first came out. I own them all. I love this show. I'm quite appreciative of the writers and the parody of superheroes, the whole theme behind this whole show. Now, I understand this is 2020 and it's Armageddon and the world is ending. So I know that they want to add their own propaganda and their own policies and politics into the show, but the last 2 episodes actually hurt. I like the show. Season 1 was very, very good. Season 2, the first 4 or 5 episodes, I really appreciated. I saw the lead up to what was going to happen, and when it actually did happen, it kind of shocked me. I didn't think they would go that far, and I think the big problem is that we're forgetting our audience here. I think that the writers are forgetting who their audience actually is. I think that most of us superhero fans, we appreciate a good parody and a good beatdown of Superman, Batman, all of the superheroes we've grown up with where we idolize and we love. And I appreciate a good comedy and having some fun at the expense of that whole writing from 1940s to now. And I know I'm going off on a rant. I'm sorry. I apologize. But
I'm listening, dude. You go on. I'm listening. You got my attention.
I think that
so you're saying you didn't love it.
And and I wasn't drinking at the time, which made it even worse. The impact, I felt the pain. I felt the pain as they shoved the knife into me, and I went, "Ah!" So yeah, I think that there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of good things that happen in episode 7 and 8. But after watching season 7, how can you go back to episode 7? How do you go to episode 8 and watch it without going, "Oh my God, I don't want to watch this"?
I couldn't. That was it. I bring it up every single live stream that we talk about the boys. This must be played.
It's a great question. We were really interested in exploring the idea of authority figures get the public really riled up with xenophobia and racism. Ultimately, the most dangerous people are like the white dudes standing next to you.
No live stream of the boys is complete without that clip. And, as Draco has said a number of times over the course of the season, stay frosty. Waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? And it obviously it did in episode 7. And you're not wrong. How do you go into episode 8 without thinking about that? And at least the answer for me was, that interview with Kripke had been in the back of my mind the whole season. And it was really front and center from after having just watched last week's episode. And yeah, that was sitting here the whole time I'm watching episode 8. And it on the plus side, they did dial back the woke in episode 8 compared to 7. I'm not saying it wasn't there, it was, but they dialed it back to, a tolerable point for me. Now, that being said, I also haven't read the books like you have, Thoth. So, my reaction is definitely going to be different than yours. All right, hit it.
Well, we're way off book. We were way off book after the second episode of season 1. So there's been significant changes in the characters. So I'm a Butcher and Huggy fan. I'm a whole The Boys fan. That's the story to me. They're part of the establishment in the comic books. So what happens is they're paid by the government to keep an eye on superheroes who are like Hollywood stars who have superpowers. So when you take that out of the equation here, your focus goes on the superheroes. And I use air quotes when I say superheroes because obviously they're not really heroes from the traditional sense. So you're changing the story right off the bat. And when you only have one half of the creative team from the comic book doing this show realistically, like the clip you just showed, right? That's a prime example of where one person is one voice, and he has decided that he's going to follow the current regime of politics that are in the world today. So I think that what we're missing here and what would make this show monumental is the boys. When I don't know if I'm going to say any spoilers here about the comic
Spoil
book,
away.
But we're looking at when you have Huggy and Butcher, and these boys have powers which are a match for the Seven. You have the ability where they can come in and they can say, man, you're out of line, and stop it. And changing Stormfront from a guy to a girl significantly changes her story as well. So I know this could be a whole show. We could talk about just the whole juxtaposition of the politics versus story from the comics and today's politics. But I think that this whole episode 7 is a prime example of what happens when you go off book and you decide to use politics to determine how your story's outcome is going to happen.
You know, that's a fair point. And it actually, the off-bookness of where we're at really speaks to some of what Nick was talking about in his reaction about how Mother's Milk and Frenchie felt really useless to him in that fight scene with Stormfront, where you had you had all the girls kicking Stormfront's ass, and Frenchie and Mother's Milk are tossed off to the side and really not terribly important for the main action of what's going on. I mean, what you just said is why Nick felt that way. All right, now he's been holding in very patiently. Yes. So I'm just going to tell everybody right now.
You say that they backed off when you just talked about that moment, and what's happening in that moment intersectionally is the girls getting it done. Literally, the boys are simply the boys. The target group of our show here, the characters who are supposed to be front and center. Well, you have the female, but the female, and you have Maeve. Where the fuck did Maeve come from? Where did Maeve come? Deus Ex Maeve. Fuck this shit.
Hail Queen Maeve, the Deus Ex Machina. Thank you, Bobby Greer, by the way. I did promise you I'd quote you on that. Go, Draco.
She shows up at 2 times in this point. You know she's critical to the plot because she's the one that Starlight and Huey went to try to get help, and she said no, she's not going to. So she's going to show up. But how the fuck did she show up to that fight? She cannot fly. We know she cannot fly. She cannot get to that flight. You know how she got there? She got there in the Westeros Express. She got there in the fucking Westeros Express because there's no fucking way for her to enter that fight, for her to just show up and be part of it. And then at the very end again, she shows up again and she uses her hold over Homelander to say, I'm going to do this. How do you even know she's going to do this? Has she made copies of it? No, she's showing you the phone that had the only copy from that fucking the black box didn't survive, but this little camera did. That's a whole other issue with that thing. But
it's her feminine wiles, man.
Oh, absolutely. It must be just her feminine because she's a strong and powerful female. But it's just part of that. She just shows up at these moments. She's completely. They didn't care about how she get there or the fact that how she knew to get there, how she was there in the first place. And I mean, just that idea of she shows up there to get the moment of Antifa beating up the Yahtzee. That's what that moment is right there.
I
don't
don't
tell me
disagree
they
with
didn't
you.
Back off that. That was so strong. It was like, oh my word. I was so disheartened by that moment. You didn't even get the boys. I mean, realistically, what can the boys do to physically harm her? Because just like Lord Thoth said, what he mentioned on this, since we're up in that, the boys are Compound V enhanced in the comics. They are actual superhero class. That's one of the important parts of this. How do you make a group that can stand against them? You put them on the same footing. And that's a big trap. That's a big plot issue. They cannot stand if you get, now you got Mother's Milk standing there, now you got Frenchie standing there. Man, Frenchie is so much different in the comics.
Oh, is he ever?
Yeah.
And
he's a good character in the comics.
Yes. And he's standing off to the side. I mean, yes, there is a symbol of closure at the end of this episode, but when you get to the end of it, Homelander, the big bad guy, is taking care of himself, as you said, on top of a building because he is depowered. He is held and reined in. You've got the Deep and A-Train. And who gets the job back? A-Train, because that looks better, because he's got more credit on the he's got more credit in the
checkbox department.
Yes, thank you. I'm trying to go. How do I say this? I don't have the words aren't coming.
I got you, bro.
Got more check. Thank you. He's got more check boxes, and the Deep, who has been fighting Get Back and does all these things, another white male, he gets pushed off to the side again. And you got another white male taken care of by the soup we didn't know about. And here's another big issue with my case of the writing in this. In that last episode, you had all of those heads popping, all of that stuff going on. Just a little thing that they shouldn't have did. Remember a little thing called The Last Jedi? Remember a little thing called the Holdo maneuver? Remember
Remind me? I forget. What was The Last Jedi again?
The Holdo maneuver.
Some shitty Disney movie.
Yeah.
Don't worry
You
yourself
don't need to worry
it.
about it, except for the fact that the Holdo maneuver, the very fact that it exists in the universe, changes every. Oh shoot, we lost him. I blew him away.
It was with your own Holdo maneuver just took him out of the stream.
No.
Oh, I was worried you got hit by Draco's Holdo maneuver there, Thoth. It was you were gone.
I apologize. I was signing up for StreamYard, so I was like, oh, I can click here. I've got the verification code, and boom! I'm like, oh crap! No. Sorry about that. I appreciate. I'm sorry. I interrupted your rant with Draco. Please continue.
Hey, now where was I? Oh, The Last Jedi. The idea that it exists in universe, it changes everything that could be considered a combat maneuver prior to that. You can go into all sorts of ways to explain how it's the mass of a ship and what you can do with it and what hyperspace actually means, but that is all written after the fact. And then you have to write that into everything before. In that moment where she uses her power, your Tulsi Gabbard character, because that's what sticks in my head.
Oh, totally. Tulsi Gabbard.
Her eyes change white while she's using her power. This did not happen in episode 7. Not to mention, that would have told everybody exactly who we point the finger at. This is critical to everything that happened before. And we only get that one moment. So we're only destroying what we wrote ourselves. So that is very bad robot of them. But
that's great.
I don't think Draco's telling us how he really feels about this. I really don't. He's holding back.
This is watered down.
Watered
down.
I have been waiting for other things. I have been waiting for those moments where been waiting for the Antifa moment, and I got it. I've been waiting for the series to close intersectionally appropriate, and I got it. Those are the moments I've been waiting for. Those are that I've been satisfied with. What I wasn't satisfied with is that Kripke, who has been reasonably writing, he's throwing in some shit here and there, but he completely went off the rails. He went full D&D this episode. He destroyed his own work. He destroyed the work as a whole. He made season 2 shit. He turned season 2 into season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones.
You could kind of see it coming, though, Draco. Like,
yeah, you could.
There's some stuff in season 1 that I'm like, but season 2, from the very first episode, we started to see the little touches he put into this whole, like, so Huggy and Starlight's relationship is pretty important to the comics too. Like, that story is, they get romantically involved.
Mm-hmm.
That's the G-rated version. And then they go on to help each other out, right? And as equals. So when we start to see this whole,
that's the only problem I had with the books is that how did Starlight? How was Starlight not cued in sooner when she could actually, when they could actually be together? Where
are we talking the comics?
Yeah, in the comics, when they could actually be together, when you have to boost yourself if you're a hooker who's taking care of the other soups. And
that's true. Don't forget she's blonde.
Yeah, so she was naive. So, but that still is like, you got to explain that away, because sometimes she's not as blonde as she seems.
No, that's true. She's a little deeper character, I think, than they do in the show. I think in the comic she's a lot deeper and a lot more intelligent. That yes. I think that's a part of the problem too. Bing. Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth, because I think that the problem here is that we've all watched Gary's rants, and we've watched Doomcock's rants, and we've watched a lot of these. A lot of us are in the same boat here. The only thing that really brought me to YouTube to meet up with all you guys and to make all these great new friends is because we're looking at writing in Hollywood and writing in television shows and where it's going. And I really can't see, based on the experience of most of these writers, how they can improve this. This is their best game. Like, these guys this is their best work. We're not looking at people who were police officers that wrote Star Trek, or were military men in World War II that got wounded, like James Doohan, who were acting. Like, we're not looking at these people who have been in the line of fire, or who have been in the world and have done stuff before they became writers to be able to write this stuff. And we've had that whole example. So I see that, being a military man myself, and I'm now a police officer, it's a little more difficult to. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've been injured in the line of duty. I've been stabbed in the line of duty. I've been doing it for 25 years. So I know that it's life experience that makes a good writer. Now, that's not saying I'm a good writer, because I've tried, and as much as there are a couple of YouTubers out there right now that we could do a shout out for, who are writing books and who are now published.
But you also know enough about that to say it.
That's right. Well, Kai MS there, he's got that bing right there.
Bing! Right
we
here.
Talk about those guys who are talented writers, and I wish I could write, because I love that, and I love the fact that we're bringing that to YouTube and to our audience out there. And I think that the problem with these shows is that these people just don't know how to write.
I agree to an extent. So if we're talking STD, which, by the way, is still getting beat by reruns of Family Feud. Okay, you're talking STD. You're talking Picard. You're talking anything that they've put onto All Access under the Star Trek banner. You're talking about anything Jar Jar's done in the Disney Star Wars universe. You're talking about anything in the Whittaker era of Doctor Who. I agree, talentless writing. Kripke is not as talentless as the hacks that did those things. He's just not.
He's ahead of his peers. He's
He
definitely
is
more capable. To follow on that, and this is why I want to put a point on that. This is why I still equate him with D&D. Now, as much as people hate season 7 and season 8, look at how well they put together with base levels given them by the guy who created the world. So even people who don't like the way that they changed seasons 1 through 4 of Game of Thrones appreciate the quality of the product that they produced, because they were good given that they had solid outline material. Now, I would put Kripke in order to step beyond this. I would put Kripke ahead of them, still another level ahead of them, because he's definitely capable. He's created, to speak to another thing Lord thought, he's created a world separate from the boys of the comics. This is not the boys of the comics. This is a different thing based on those individual characters. It has its own good. It has plenty of its own bad. But
yeah,
I think
it's definitely an alternate world for sure.
That first season gave us a lot to hope for, that he could continue. I mean, this is where we were. Where were we 8 episodes ago, JD? Where were we when they dropped the first 3 episodes? And this was looking possible. I mean, it was slow, which is another hint. That's another point at D&D, how slow season 8 got started. And we got a lot of moments in the beginning of this series. We got a lot of more considering what we're doing rather than doing anything about it. We got a lot more, not necessarily the best character moments as compared to what we got in the first season. But he certainly has chops to be able to do better with this. He definitely ran out of steam, or he started jumping off of the platform that he was yelling from.
Yep, fair enough. So we're hitting up on about 2 hours here, and so we can go maybe another 10, 15 minutes before I want to cut it off. So Nick, give me your thoughts on both. The season really. For season 2 of The Boys here, I want to hear where you're at now that you've finished everything and you can have a total reaction. Now, am I correct in remembering you haven't read the trades?
I did not read the books until recently. Luckily, I had a birthday recently, so my girlfriend did buy me volumes.
Hey.
She was nice enough to buy me volumes 1, 2, and 3. So that's a pretty penny she spent alone. Yeah, so my missus got me that. So I finished volume 1, and I feel like the synopsis is like the idea is the same, but how they play out in the show is very different. So the synopsis is very similar, but the play out is so different. Now I'm only finished with volume 1 though. So with that said, season 2, it's a pattern of, like I said, there are some highs, but the highs weren't as good as the highs of season 1. I mean, there's some enjoyable moments, like, come on, the Black Noir thing. The episode 5 was killer with the whole, like, Home Alone traps, that was fun. But then, here's the thing, though. Like, the boys, like, I liked when Homelander bashed the blind spot. Was that blind spot at episode 1? That was hilarious. Like,
very in character, very appropriate, good moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. I was gonna say beautiful, but I don't know if just being the shit of a blind person is beautiful. But it was well played for Homelander's character. It was well played for his character. Or when Kamiko when she went to that one house and they're, hey, you know, want to see a kitten, and she like ripped the face off. That part is actually that like the dialogue included. That is actually ripped directly off from issue number 2 from volume 1. However, the only thing that was different was it was done in a different like setting. But like she did rip the face off, and she came in there to kick some ass. So that was lifted from issue number 2. So that there was that low cool homage to the comic book. So like Kumiko, and I did it, like I said, I did enjoy seeing her get her payback. She deserved it, but I don't like how it played out with the whole like the girls get it done and the boys can't, like, and even though the show's about the boys, like totally misleading. And oh yeah, so like I said, it made them, as I said earlier, it makes them essentially useless. And when Draco brought how Queen Maeve got there, you know what that reminded me of, Draco? It reminded me of Dark Knight Rises, when Batman got his back fixed, and we don't know how he got back to Gotham City from that desert from some other third world country. Batman was just there. Like, I know Batman's Batman; he could do a lot of things, but come on, that was the Batman Queen Maeve moment.
Westeros Express.
This is like
Westeros Express. Yeah, it every little piece of that all three of you guys have said, 100% valid criticism. Absolutely 100% valid criticism.
It takes you out of the story. It takes you out of the story.
Yes.
Those of you who are intelligent viewers and watch the show, stuff like that takes you out of the story.
It does. It's, I mean, the Westeros Express problem, right? That is one of the biggest goddamn issues that I had with that one movie that Disney made with a Holdo maneuver in it. It's the same goddamn issue. They turned hyperspace into teleportation, essentially, right? And time and distance didn't mean anything. I mean, that whole movie took place over the course of supposedly 18 hours, and they like were flipping all over the galaxy, hundreds of light years away from where they were.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the same damn problem here in The Boys, right? Maeve taking the Westeros Express, you know, the Great Queen Maeve, the Deus Ex Machina. That kind of stuff is it's just like it takes you out. It takes you out.
Writing.
It's bad writing. It's ignoring any kind. I mean, it's like they just don't even fucking think about it. It's like, okay, well, we got to fight here, and we need Maeve, so she's there.
Oh, right. Yeah. They want it to be convenient. And if they expect you to not be intelligent about it, they want you to just roll with it. You're not supposed to think about it, because if you think about it, there's something wrong with you, Jake. There's something like, come on, dude, why are you being a bigot about that? How she got there? Why are you being a bigot like that?
Are you saying that
is phobinism? Is phobinism?
Are you saying that it wasn't made for me, Nick? Is that what you're saying?
It's not for you.
Okay.
Right. Okay. There's something wrong. Okay, you misogynistic istophobia.
Eric K is exactly right. It's bad writing, and it's
manipulated
lazy
by memes.
Oh, it's so lazy. It's stupid. Like, come on, guys. It like seriously. Like, you can explain or show like, oh, like, was there a time gap? Like, but you know. But it's just, you gotta go with it. Like, come on, guys. Brave and stunning.
In word.
Brave and stunning. Oh man.
Well, I will say this: that Queen Maeve is actually a really cool character.
Oh yeah, she's cool.
In season 1, they started to get into that, like her whole relationship issues, her drinking issues. And the fact that she's like the Wonder Woman parody, let's not mince words here. She's kind of the Wonder Woman character. There is so much cool stuff you could do with that. And then it seems like she's been forgotten until all of a sudden, bam, she's there. And it's the Deus Ex Machina, as you said. And
We're renaming it.
The Maeve Ex Machina.
Deus Ex Maeve. Deus Ex Maeve.
Every show nowadays that has a hit with the season 1, it's now about, okay, this show did well. We've established a fan base. Now we can inject what we've been wanting to really inject now that we built the following. That's how they do the domino setup. Let's build that following. Let's actually get that story going. And actually either fairly good or really good. And then we're people like us, we're all excited. And then all of a sudden, then they throw that curveball at you. And you're like,
and
exactly.
Bam! There it is.
And this is only the boys' discussion. We haven't even talked about Star Trek, Lower Decks, or
The Walking Dead, like Star Trek, Star Wars. Like, yeah, you want to go on? I'd say
let's kill it all.
Another hour. But
whatever you do, don't get me started on Doctor Who, because I'll be here for about 5 or 6 goddamn hours screaming about Doctor Who.
I wasn't even a Whovian, and I hate what they've done to Doctor Who, because now I reference it backwards, and I'm going like, that doesn't fit, that doesn't fit, that doesn't fit. What the fuck?
You know, the funny thing is I'm a Whovian. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. Just ask my wife. We have pictures of us both in Star Trek uniforms beside Daleks. So even at a Star Trek convention, I find ways to find Doctor Who. Before I could walk, I was watching Doctor Who in the early 70s. So I know I'm dating myself. But every time Gary, and there's also another great Doctor Who fan, Spacebook on YouTube. I'm going to do a plug, sorry. And it's just, I'm sorry. I'm going to stop now. We can talk about Doctor Who.
Okay, I'm getting a vibe that maybe we need to do a Who stream.
I think we should. I think that's a great idea.
I'm surprised I didn't get exposed to it as much as I did, because I was full on into Star Trek. I was full on. I mean, I was too young to really appreciate the first movie when it came out. I went to it and I saw it for the exact reasons that Disney wants you to go see the movie. Ooh, look, lights, flashy, bright stuff. Yay, boom.
We're talking 2009?
I'm talking Star Wars when I was
2015.
Here's one thing. Yes, I was into Star Trek from when I came on. When I came on the screen. I didn't get to see it in original run. I got to see it when it was in all kinds of syndication. And I loved to watch that show. I knew that show back and forward. That was one of my favorite shows amongst every other thing that I watched. Star Trek was one of my favorite things. And in 2009, I appreciated the best parts of it. But then I started to see all of the cracks in the veneer, because this is what bad reboot does. But
that they do.
Yes, I am surprised I did not cleave to Doctor Who, because the only thing I can remember now is when they did that 90s Canadian American reboot. Everything else is a memory of seeing this doctor or that doctor from a clip that I saw earlier and not seeing any of it. Whereas Gary, you, Lord Thoth, Jake D, you must have seen it in the new. You saw new stuff, and then you went back and saw old stuff. I don't know where you are.
I watched Tom Baker on PBS when I was a kid. My old man loved Who. So he dragged me in there to watch this weird looking guy with curly hair and a big old scarf. And
Baker is the man. Still my favorite. My wife's favorite is David Tennant, because she likes, he looks pretty good.
Well, he is a pretty man.
How many women did he bring into the Whovians?
My wife. The only way she would watch Doctor Who is if it was David Tennant. Now, she liked Matt Smith a little bit, but of course, after Matt Smith, she said, "Yeah, okay, old guy, I'm out." So obviously,
I love PCAP.
I
She
do
must
too.
not like Obi-Wan. She must not like Obi-Wan.
He could have been one of the best. He could have been one of the best doctors. Oh
God,
my gosh.
He could have been with the right writers. He could have been good.
All right, we need to wrap her up, though, guys. Actually, I really would love to keep chatting for another hour, but we do need to wrap her up, because see, I'm on my 1, 2, 3. I'm on my 4th Mountain Dew since we started the stream.
I'm on my 3rd glass of Cabernet.
All right, get a fifth already. Get a fifth.
We are being called.
If I don't Jaloja soon, there's going to be a problem. So,
Jaloja.
So, all right, 32 Flavors of Nickweiser. Give us quick final thoughts. Plug your channel. Let us know what you're up to.
All right, so to wither away from the conflictingness of the boys, I've been doing some food reviews. So I did a Popeyes visit recently to check out their raspberry cheesecake pie, and I also did an Aldi pizza video. And I've got some Thai stuff I'm looking at as well. So a lot of food videos coming. So, and when Mandalorian hits,
folks.
yeah, here's your positivity. Come to my flavors. That's where we can eat.
All right, give our best to Mrs. Weiser.
But yeah, thank you for having me on, Jake. And Lord Thoth, nice to finally hear you speak. It's a pleasure. So thank you.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you. I love it. It's awesome.
Right? It's addictive. And Draco,
I know it is addictive.
All right, we'll get your link to your channel dropped in the description, Nick. I'll make sure that gets in there. Absolutely. All right, Draco, final thoughts? Anything you want to plug, my friend?
Well, I don't have much to plug as usual, but you can always find if you wanted to eventually hear me rant one day, you can always find me from Draco Argentus on YouTube. Otherwise, I hang out amongst the Fandom Menace. I am always one of the quiet. I'm always one of the silent ones in chat. Otherwise, how can I build up my rants? You can find me around Doomcock. You can find me around Gary. You can find me around Geeks and Gamers Jeremy. You can find me all over. But ladies and gentlemen, I feel bad for the boys. But guys, there's always positivity, like food on Nickweiser's channel and other things. Let's hope we get some more positivity, and if not, we make our own. Lord Thoth.
Absolutely. Lord Thoth, any final thoughts? Anything you want to plug, sir?
I want to say thank you to those in the chat who have been very supportive. I loved this live stream. I think that this is incredible, and yeah, Nick, it is addictive as heck. I'll try not to dominate any future live streams, but Jake D, thank you from the bottom of my heart for inviting me into the chat and letting me be a part of this. It's amazing to see the great, smart, intelligent, charismatic people who are really starting to take our pop culture into hand, and knowing that there's so many things that are going wrong right now in our pop culture, and the fact that we can speak up, we have a voice, and that without us, they are nothing. So thank you again. And what can I say? It's been a pleasure meeting you guys over the last few months, and I'll stop talking now before I keep going on and on and on, and this turns into a 3-hour live stream.
There you go.
Come on, that's excellent. Because look at me. He keeps inviting me back. I don't know why. I keep dominating his stream. Obviously, he just needs people to keep dominating his streams, and we'll keep going with this.
Oh, not at all, gentlemen. I like guiding the direction of the discussion. I take my own moments when I dominate. I mean, panels like this, they ebb and flow, and one person's going to have more to say at a certain point, the other's going to have more to say at another point. And it's a chemistry that you build, and it works. I mean, I don't find any of y'all haven't been dominating whatsoever. When I want to get my say in, I do.
Besides, you're
the boss.
You're machinating behind the scenes.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you, all three of you. Also, don't forget our good friend Polly from Latino Slant, who is an excellent guest, joins us frequently on these streams, and I try to get over to his channel when possible. But I am Jake D. This has been Howling About Entertainment for October 11th. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next video or the next stream. Thank you.